Hey everybody, Mr. Ling here. I wanted to talk about critical reading for Avid class and also how to use a really cool tool called Kami for marking on text in PDF documents and other things too. So first of all, from time to time, we'll be reading articles from Avid Weekly and learning as we go. And one of the great tools of Avid is about marking the text and charting the text, which is basically part of critical reading. So marking the text, when you're given an article or even a chapter in a book or whatnot, marking the text involves numbering the paragraphs, circling key terms or vocabulary, and underlining the author's claims or other important information. And claims are things like, a statement of fact, the article or the author is saying about something that, McDonald's food is bad for you. It could be an opinion, but it's a claim he's making as well. Usually it's supported by other information. Sometimes you might be given a prompt by your teacher. So when you're reading an article, your teacher might say, as you read, think about this question. And you might, as you're going through and circling and underlining, you might circle a key word in that prompt, and you might also underline anything that relates back to that prompt. So there might be a different way of doing it. But in general, the first three steps here are what you want to do. Next is charting the text. So charting the text, basically in the left-hand column, you're going to be writing next to each paragraph, what's the author saying? And that's basically just a summary of in one sentence, one short sentence, what's the main idea in this paragraph? What's the main thing that the author is saying here? And the right column, you want to write what the author is doing. Okay, what they're doing might be things like, well, they're listing, or they're comparing, or they're telling a story. Sometimes information is related by an anecdote or a little story, or they are arguing, or how is it that they're getting that information across to you? All right, so that's basically the critical reading. I want to show you also a great tool that you can add to Google Chrome, which will help you do that. If you look up here, it's a little K, is called Kami. And I'll show you exactly where to go to get it. And you can add it right to Chrome, which is awesome. So if you open up a new tab here, what I do is just go over here to Apps, which is always in the left-hand corner there in Chrome, and go to the Web Store. And in the Web Store, you can just search for Kami. I'm just going to type it in there. It's K-A-M-I, K-A-M-I, and there it is right there. All right, and voila. Now I've already got it added, so it already says that I have it, and I can rate it, which I'd give it a great rating because it's a really good program. But for you, it will say Add to Chrome up here. So you want to click Add to Chrome, and it will pop right up here after you answer a couple of questions. All right, so that's how you get it. Now, let's go ahead. I'm going to open it up. If you're going to open a document, a PDF document, if you open it right from your computer, it's probably going to open in something like Preview or some other program. So the best way to open it with Kami is basically to just, if you have a spare window or tab open here, just hit Kami, and you can open from, well, from wherever it is. If it's on your computer or on your Google Drive. Mine happens to be on my Google Drive, so I'm going to do that. You can also do a blank page too. My article that I want to do is in my Avid resources here in Avid Weekly Articles. And there it is. Schools ban fidget toys. All right, so let's open that up. Now, it's opened in Kami, and you can see I've got all these little cool tools over here that I can use. So the first thing is numbering the paragraphs. If we go back to our critical reading guide here, right? Numbering the paragraphs. So let's do that first. Best way to do that, you can do it two ways. You can use the drawing tool and actually draw it on there. Always adjust your stroke thickness because it'll probably be really, really thick at first. And you can just say, well, I'll make this 1, I'll make this 2, I'll make this 3, and so on. You can do it that way. Or you could also use the text box here. And I'll use blue also for the text box. I like blue. And just double click, and you got a text box. So I'll call that 4. Double click. Oops, double click. Make that 5. To me, that's easier because sometimes it's hard to draw with your mouse. All right, so there's that. Whoops, let's do that again. Hey, come here. 7. Okay, well, I'm not gonna do all of them, but anyway, you get the idea there. Sometimes paragraphs are pretty short too. Like this is just a sentence. So anyway, so number the paragraphs. Next thing you want to do, circle key terms. All right. So, well, as I look at this article is about fidget toys and being banned and being a distraction. So I'm kind of looking for those things in the article here. So let's first paragraph. The latest craze in classrooms and on playgrounds comes from the brightly colored handheld trinkets that spin, have buttons, or push to otherwise keep hands occupied. Well, I don't know. It's just kind of an opening paragraph. I don't really see anything that important there. Whoops, too far. Sorry about that. Second paragraph. The aptly named fidgets are supposed to enhance fidgets. Okay, so that was a word in my title here, so I'm going to definitely circle that one. So let's see, circle key terms. So you can use the little shapes button here. Get a circle. And I want, I'll stick with blue. I like blue. And I don't want this 6 though. 6 is going to be a really, really thick one. So I'm going to make it actually a 1. I want a nice thin circle. So fidgets. There we go. Fidgets are supposed to enhance concentration, reduce anxiety, and stimulate learning. Oh, you know what? Going back to our critical reading guide, we're also supposed to underline the author's claims or other important information. So I'd probably underline that. But let's go back through. I'm just going to go through these first few paragraphs. I'm going to get all the keywords, and then I'm going to come back and underline the claims. So, but some educators aren't buying spin. They say that toys have become a major distraction. That was up here. I'm going to circle that. Major distraction. And to teachers, students, and in some cases they're being banned. Oh, that's a key term right there, being banned from classrooms. So the idea behind fidget devices, fidget, that's kind of important. Fidget devices, actually, I'm going to circle that whole thing. Fidget devices, or what's sometimes called fidget therapy, I think that's important, is that they enhance the senses to allow for better and longer concentration. Well, concentration, that's probably kind of a key word. That's what they're supposed to be doing. There is a variety of fidgets. So anytime, if you notice, anytime I see any of these words in the title, I'm circling them. And sometimes other words too. But let's say you circled something and you don't like where that circle is. Well, if you hover over it, I'm not sure why it's not. There it is. I don't know why I had to go down here. I guess once you have the plus sign, you get this little menu, and you can use this to move it wherever you want it to go. I want it to go over here. I want to circle elementary instead. I can move it there. All right. So you can move things around, which is kind of cool. Now, you might, instead of circling, you might like to use the highlighter. That's totally fine too. If you want to highlight instead of circle, you totally can. So up at the top here is the highlight button. Grab that, and I'm going to use I'll use green. If I want to highlight, I can say, all right, well, I just want to actually highlight all these words. I'm gonna basically just go right over them, and you just do that. Oh, here's fidget again down here, fidget therapy, and you highlight. So you can highlight as well, whatever you want to do. And then underlining, same thing. There's an underline button right there. Look at that. So whatever text you want to underline, I'm going to go back in here in paragraph 2, I believe there was a important claim here. Fidgets are supposed to enhance concentration, reduce anxiety, and stimulate learning. I think that's a claim. That might not be the author's claim, but that is a claim that someone has made. So I'm going to underline that whole thing. There we go. Bam. And it underlines. And well, I put it in yellow. I might want to use a different color, but I did it in yellow. So there you have it. That's basically how to use the major tools. We looked at shapes, we looked at highlighting, and we looked at underlining. You can also do strike through. You can add your own comments, text boxes. So if you wanted to mark the text and say, well, you could just do a text box for that, which we did. If you want to say, what is the author saying over here? Well, you can use a text box and say, well, the author is saying that fidgets are supposed to reduce anxiety. And I know this is typing over everything else, but I'm going to fix it in a minute. We're supposed to reduce anxiety and stimulate learning. But they are ending up being a distraction. Kind of a long one. All right, so that's all over the place. So if I want to shorten that, I can do this, and boom, I can slide it right over there. And there we go. That's kind of going over the words a little bit, but you can move them around too if they get in the way. So anyway, so that's basically the idea of how to use Kami to mark up your text. And when you are done with all of your editing, you can save. So I want to basically save it as is. So I can just hit the save button right there. And I want to save it on my Google Drive and save it in the same spot. And it should, every time you open it, you should see all of these things. And it's actually already, I think it's already saved here, but let's just do this. And put it in Google Drive. And it's taking its sweet time. There it is. Okay, very good. Now, if we open it here, we should see, as soon as it loads, oh, we have to open it with Kami. Those annotations, you won't see those unless you open it with Kami. I mean, you can do that if you open it from Google Drive like that, hit Kami, and it'll take just a second, but you should see everything there. And boom, there it is. Okay. The other thing you can do too is if you want to save this as a PDF file with the annotations and everything, and you don't have to open it in Kami, you can open it in whatever tool you have to open PDF files. You can do this. You can export it, or here, download it. You can download it and select with annotations, PDF file, right there. And that will then save it so that you can download it, or you can actually open it with any program that opens PDF. All right, so hope this is helpful. And if you have any questions, let me know.